Thank you, friends, for tuning in once again. Is your host none other than Mr. Spotter Fred. Now, today's session, we are going to look at branches. Remember, in the previous sessions, we have introduced branches, and we looked at branches as in three types or in three forms. Talked about branches. And friends, we looked at types of branches. We talked about types of branches. Remember, branches is, when an organization has grown too large, it starts selling their goods and services through various outlets. These outlets, as we must have said, are known as branches. Now, friends, we talked about types of branches. We looked at dependent branches. Dependent branches. Independent branches, we looked at this one, we have looked at it in the previous session. That's our session number 1. Then we now want to look at independent branches. Independent branches. Want to look at independent branches. Then we talk about foreign branches. Foreign branches. So today we are looking at independent branches. We are looking at independent branches. That's what we are looking at today. Now, independent branches, they are branches which can maintain their own books of accounts. They can prepare their financial statements to the end. And independent branches will always have an account. Will have an account to recognize the transaction between the head office and the branches. The head office will also have an account that will maintain the transactions or will record the transactions between the head office and the branches. So those are some of the very important items we are going to look at. Now, friends, remember, when you talk of independent branches, they maintain an head office current account, and head office current account, and head office current account. This current account to record the transactions between the head office and the branches. You also need to remember, friends, that in the books of the head office, in the books of the branch, we maintain head office current account. But in the books of the head office, a branch current account is maintained to record transactions between the head office and the branch. In other words, you see these, friends, that there is no big difference. You realize that in the books of the branch, we have a head office current account, while in the books of the head office, we have a branch current account. Don't forget that. In the books of the branch is the head office current account, while in the books of the head office is a branch current account. And if you notice, you realize that these accounts are maintained on a reciprocal basis. These accounts are maintained on a reciprocal basis. And if that is the case, then the head office current account balance should be opposite and equal to the branch current account balance. You need to remember that. The head office current account balance should always be opposite and equal to the branch current account balance. That is important because they are maintained on a reciprocal basis. Very important there. Meaning, in the books of the head office, in the books of the branch, the head office current account behaves like a creditor account, While in the books of the head office, the branch current account behaves like a debtor account. Now, this is something that we need to say this. We say that in the books of head office, the branch current account behaves like a debtor account. While in the books of branch, the head office current account behaves like a creditor account. The two accounts, the head office and branch current account, behaves are maintained on a reciprocal basis. Thus, the balances should be opposite and equal to each other. That's important. So you need to understand this. The element of the head office current account and the branch current account. I repeat this, in the books of the branch, we maintain a head office current account which behaves like a credit account. That's a liability account. While in the books of the head office, we maintain a branch current account. And this is behaves like a debt account. That's important. Okay, now, on that note, you need to remember that there are some accounting entries. We should recognize the accounting entries in the books of the head office and accounting entries in the books of the branch. Now let's look at that. Come and say accounting entries Let's look at the accounting entries in the books of the head office. When we talk of the accounting entries in the head office, the main transactions that we are going to look at is when goods have been sent to the branch, what happens? What if the branch returns these goods back to the head office? We also need to talk about when some expenses have been paid by the branch on behalf of the head office, or some expenses have been paid by the head office on behalf of the branch. What happens? That's what we'll be looking at in the books of the head office. So we come and say, one, we'll be looking at to record goods sent to the branch. When we send goods to the branch, it's like we sell them. We normally send them not at price, not at cost, but we always send them at a cost plus a small markup. Don't forget that, plus a small profit. When we send goods, it's like we have sold those goods because we normally don't send them at cost. We send them at a cost plus a small profit. So we come and say, debit branch current account, then we credit the goods sent, account. Remember, not at cost, but at a cost plus a markup. In that case, you also need to remember that the goods sent account is a revenue account. Fine. Then we come and say number two, with goods returned by branch to head office. Goods may be returned to the head office for one or two reasons. Maybe they are faulty or something like that. So you are going to debit the goods sent. You credit the branch current account. Now, let me also remind you that sometimes goods may not only be returned because they are faulty, they may have been damaged in transit. If goods are damaged in transit or they are stolen in transit, you can say or stolen, damaged in transit. If they are damaged or stolen in transit, that's also the transaction we are going to do. We need to debit our goods sent account, we credit our branch current account. Then number 3, we talk about some expenses, or rather before some expenses, some cash, to record cash sent to the branch. We are going to debit our branch current account. Then we are going to credit our cash or bank. Remember, the cash we are talking about is the head office cash or the bank account for the head office. So you debit your branch current account, you credit the bank / cash account. Number 4, we may receive some cash from the branches. So with cash remittances from branches. If the head office receives cash from the branches, so we'll definitely debit the bank. Then we credit the branch current account. Then from there, friends, we may also have, we may now have the element of expenses. Come and talk of the expenses. Remember, we are still under independent branches. So we are talking about number 5. Number 5, we may have expenses. Come and say to record head office expenses paid by branch on their behalf. We are going to debit the expenses. They have been paid, is the head office expense, but paid by the branch on their behalf. So you debit your respective expense account. It can be rent, it can be lease, rentals or something like that. So respective expense account. We now credit the branch Then we talk about branch expenses. Some branch expenses may be paid by the head office. So you come and say with branch expenses settled by the head office. We are going to debit the branch current account we credit our bank or cash account. That's what happens. If the branch expenses are settled by the head office, you debit your branch current account, you credit your bank or cash account. That's exactly what you do. Now, we also move on further, friends. We are saying if the head office, or rather the branch, has purchased an asset, but this asset, records of this asset or the asset register of this particular asset is maintained by the head office or kept by the head office, then simply that asset is like belongs to the head office. So what do we do? Come and say to record an asset purchased by head office, purchased by the branch, but head office, but asset register is maintained by the head office. What do we do in that case? With the purchase price, we are going to debit. We are going to debit our, with the purchase price, we are going to debit our assets account. Let me say the individual asset. Then we credit the branch So that's exactly what you need to remember. Now, friends, we still continue. You realize that this is an asset. If this is a depreciable asset, friends, then there is a depreciation. If it's a depreciable asset, we need to recognize or account for depreciation of this particular asset. So what do we do? So we come and say 8. With the depreciation on the assets, on the asset purchased by branch, but records maintained by the head office, we are going to debit the branch current account then we credit our fixed assets or individual assets account or provision for depreciation. So you debit your branch current account. If you are maintaining your asset at net book value, you credit your asset account. But if you are maintaining your asset account at costs, then you credit provision for depreciation account. Then thereafter, friends, we come and now recognize the profit, the branch profit. Now, with the branch profit recognized, with the branch profit recognized in the books of the head office, we have to debit our branch current account. Then we credit the head office income statement. Or we say the head office statement of comprehensive income, or we say the head office statement of profit or loss. Then we come and say number 10, if it's a loss, with the branch loss recognize in the books of the head office, we are going to debit the head office profit or loss, then we credit the branch current account. That's exactly what you need to do. Simple as that. But now, remember friends, this is in the books of the head office. We also have the books of the branch. We have the books of the branch. In the books of the branch is now, instead of the goods sent, we are going to talk about the goods received. And maybe some of the items may change. Instead of saying just bank or cash, we are going to talk about branch, bank, and cash. Instead of talk about the branch current account, friends, we are going to talk about head office current account. Now, don't forget that point. In the books of the head office, we maintain a branch current account, while in the books of the branch, we maintain an head office current account. Now, let's move on and try to look at the books of the branch. It's nothing new, nothing very new, but let's just try to look at it because maintained on a reciprocal basis. You have looked at that, and we are going to make a summary of the same. We are going to make a summary. Don't forget, friends, we'll talk about the summary. The books of the branch. Now we are talking about the books of the branch. So we say accounting entries in the books of the branch. Accounting entries in the books of the branch. So we talk about one, we may have received goods from the head office. So we come and say to record goods received from head office. We are going to debit goods received account. We are going to credit our head office current account. Now you see, friends, this time round, we have a head office current account. So we debit our goods received account, we credit our head office current account. That is important. Then we come and say number 2, with the goods returned to head office by the branches, we are going to debit the goods, the head office current account. Then we credit the goods received account. So there's no big deal. It's just the same information. There's no big difference. Just the same. But it's also good to notice this because you may find yourself as scenario whereby there is a question examined, or you have a question where it was recorded wrongly. So you need to correct it. So you need to know the correct position. You need to know the correct entry to be made. So that at any point in time you find a question where the entry was wrongly made, you are able to correct. Then we come and say number 3, cash, to recognize cash received from the head office. We may be receiving, as a branch, we may be receiving some assistance from the head office. So we may end up receiving some cash, and we need to recognize it in the books, remember. So what do? You debit the branch, bank or cash, and then you don't forget to credit our head office current account. That's exactly the position. Then number four. Number four, we may talk about, apart from the recognition of cash received from the head office, we may now be remitting some cash to the head office. What if we remit? So with cash remittances to the head office, we need to debit the head office current account. Then we need to credit the branch bank or cash account. So don't forget. So if there is a remitting, we are remitting cash to the head office, this is the entry that we should carry out. This is the entry that we should carry out. Because of space, let me continue this other side and say, so we are saying, number five, you are talking about some expenses, to record. Branch expenses paid by the head office on their behalf. So we need to debit the respective expense account and we credit the head office current account. Don't forget, the entry is not exactly the same. That's almost similar. It has almost the same.